Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Khairul Umam with the ID number 53024222030 from Informatic and Computer Engineering Education Study Program. In this session, I will talk about thread and concurrency. This video is created to fulfill the operating system assignment. So let's check it out. First of all, we will talk about overview and motivation. So, what is the meaning of thread? Okay, a thread is a basic unit of CPU utilization. It comprises of thread ID, a program counter or PC, a register set, and a stack. It shares with other threads belonging to the same process its code section, data section, and other operating system resources, such as open files and signal. As you can see in the slides in this video, this is the differences between the single thread process and multi-thread process. And most software applications that run on modern computers and mobile devices are multi-threaded, such as a web browser might have one thread display images or text while another thread retrieves data from the network. Is the example. Okay, next. Next is many applications can also take advantage of multiple threads, including basic sorting, trees, and graph algorithm. As you can see in the slide, this is the multi-threaded server architecture from client who has request to the server and also create new thread to service the request on the thread. Also, server can resume listening for additional client requests like that. Okay, the next one we will talk about benefits of multi-threaded programming. We have fourth benefits of multi-threaded programming such as responsiveness, resource sharing, economy, and scalability. First, responsiveness may allow continued execution if part of process is blocked, especially important for user interfaces. And then the second, resource sharings, which is treat share resources of process easier than shared memory or message passing. Then the third, economy, which is cheaper than process creation, thread switching lower overhead than context switching. And then the last, scalability, process can take advantage of multiprocessor architecture. The next one is multi-core programming, which talk about concurrency versus parallelism. As you can see in the slide, the picture above is about concurrent execution on single core system. And then the second picture is about parallelism on a multi-core system. So, what is the differences between concurrency versus parallelism? For concurrency, mainly means that the execution of the thread will be interleaved over time because the processing core is capable of executing only few threads at a time. Or a concurrent system supports more than one task by allowing all the tasks to make progress. But in the multi-core system, concurrency means that some thread can run in parallel because the system can assign a separate thread to each core. Or in parallelism, a parallel system can perform more than one task simultaneously. So that is the point. And then the multiprocessor systems putting pressure on programmers challenges include identifying tasks, balance, data splitting, data dependency, and testing and debugging. And then the next is type of parallelism. There's two type of parallelism, which is data parallelism and task parallelism. Data parallelism is distributing subsets of the same data across multiple computing cores and performing the same operation on each core. And then the second task parallelism distributing not data but tasks or thread across multiple computing cores. And then the next is kind of multi-threading models. But before that, we must know about the meaning of user threads and kernel threads. So, user threads is support above the kernel and are managed without kernel support or user level threads library. And then the second kernel threads is support and managed directly by the operating system or the kernel itself. So the kind of models of multi-threading is this, as you can see in the slide: many to one to one, many to many, and two-level model. Two-level model is a combination of one-to-one R and many-to-many, like that. Next material, I will talk about thread libraries. Thread library provides the programmer with an API for creating and managing threads. There is two kind of primary ways of implementing a thread library. First, provide a library entirely in user space with no kernel support. All code and data structures for the library exist in user space. And then the second, implement a kernel level library supported directly by the operating system. In this case, code and data structures for the library exist in the kernel space. Okay, the next I will talk about pthreads. Pthreads is a POSIX standard, an API for thread creation and synchronization. This is a specification for thread behavior, not an implementation. May be provided either as user level or kernel level. API specifies behavior of the thread library, like I said on the material before, and implementation is up to development of the library. The for pthreads common in Unix operating system such as Solaris, Linux, and Mac OS. The picture on the left slide, as you can see, is the multi-threaded C program using pthreads API. Okay, next is about Windows threads. For Windows threads, threads are created in the Windows API using the create thread function, and just as in pthreads, a set of attributes for the thread is passed to this function. Recall that the pthread program on the previous slide, the parent thread waits for the summation thread using the pthread join statement. We perform the equivalent of this in the Windows API using the wait for single object function, which causes the creating thread to block until the summation thread has fit exit. On the picture on the left slide is Windows multi-thread C program. The next one is about Java thread. Java threads are managed by the JVM, typically implemented using the thread model provided by underlying OS. Java thread also may be created by extending thread class and implementing the runnable interface. Java thread also using Lambda expression in Java, which is similar to functional programming language, and then the second Java version of 1.8 onwards, and cleaner syntax without defining a separate class that implements runnable. The picture on the left side, as you can see, is the illustration of Java executor framework of API. Okay, the next one I will talk about implicit threading. To transfer the creation and management of threading from application developers to compilers and runtime libraries. Implicit threading generally require application developers to identify tasks, not threads, that can run in parallel. A task is usually written as a function which the runtime library then maps to a separate thread, typically using the many-to-many model. The advantage of implicit threading is developers only need to identify parallel tasks, and the libraries determine the specific details of thread creation and management. Okay, for methods that explore implicit threading is thread pools, fork join, OpenMP, and Grand Central Dispatch. Let's break one by one. Okay, first is about thread pools. Is create a number of threads at startup and place in a pool where they await work. The advantage of thread pools is usually slightly faster to service a request with an existing thread that can then create a new thread. The second is allows the number of threads in the applications to be bound to the size of the pool. Okay. Third is preparing tasks to be performed from mechanics of creating tasks allows different strategies for running tasks. The second example is about fork join. The main parent thread creates forks, one or more child threads, and then waits for the children to terminate and join with it, at which point it can retrieve and combine their results. As you can see in the picture, main thread make a fork or branches and then join to the main thread again. A library manages the number of threads that are created and is also responsible for assigning tasks to threads. In some ways, this fork join model is a synchronous version of thread pools before, in which a library determines the actual number of threads to create. The third one is OpenMP, is a set of compiler directives as well as an API for a program written in C, C++, or Fortran that provides support for parallel programming in shared memory environments. OpenMP allows developers to choose among several levels of parallelism to providing directives for parallelization. For example, they can set the number of threads manually. It also allows developers to identify whether data are shared between threads or are private to a thread. OpenMP is available on several open source and commercial compilers for Linux, Windows, and Mac OS systems. The fourth one is about Grand Central Dispatch is a technology developed by Apple for its Mac OS and iOS operating systems. It's a combination of a runtime library, an API, and language extension that allows developers to identify sections of code or tasks to run in parallel. Like OpenMP, GCD or Grand Central Dispatch manage most of the details of trading. GCD schedules tasks for runtime execution by placing them on a dispatch queue. GCD identifies two types of dispatch queue, which are serial and concurrent. Okay, the last one is about Intel thread building blocks. Is a template library that support designing parallel application in C++. Okay, and the next one is about trading issues. We have five kind of trading issues that often appear, which are the fork and exec system calls, and then signal handling, thread cancellation, and then thread local storage and scheduler activations. Okay, the last material I will talk about operating system examples. We have two kind of OS examples that I will talk about. Firstly is about Windows threads. The general component of a thread include a thread ID uniquely identifying the thread, and then a register set representing the status of the processor, a program counter, and a user stack, the employee when the thread is running in user mode, and a kernel stack employed when the thread is running in kernel mode. A private storage area is used by various runtime libraries and dynamic link libraries or DLLs. Okay, the picture on the right slide that you can see is about data structure of a Windows threads, which are F thread, K thread, and TEB. Okay, the last one is about the Linux threads. Linux provide the fork system call with the traditional functionality of duplicating a process. Linux also provides the ability to create threads using the clone system call. However, Linux does not distinguish between process and threads. In fact, Linux uses the term task rather than process or thread when referring to a flow of control within a program. Okay, the picture on the right slide is some of the flag space when clause is invoked. As you can see, there is a few flag clone underscore fs, clone underscore vm, etc. Okay, that's all. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, you can understand about what I say. I'm also sorry if I make mistakes in the pronunciation and etc. See you on the next video.